This decoding sequence is interesting for precisely 1 second, after which I have regretful flashbacks to slot machines and all their f***ery. So, the sin, as always, is Vegas. In case you confused it with Oshkosh Bagosh. Wait. Maypoling barefoot on this muddy Ren Fair earth. Do you know how disgusting the ground becomes after being saturated by the tears of LARPers? I love how this lady is all,
"You guys aren't dressed right."
as if their futuristic combat gear is more interesting than having just watched them walk out of a f***ing portal.
Some of us need this, you know.
Needing Renaissance fairs. Good thing no one is in this tent right now in the middle of the fair. It's always nice when people in the past make it easier for the TVA and a variant to not screw up the timeline. None of these idiots have their weapons activated for battle. I mean, at the very least, the glow sticks act as a mild light source. And on the other end of the spectrum, they can save your life if you're ambushed, which they're about to be.
The trap, watch your backs.
Commander C-20 then immediately moves off on her own and exposes her back towards the darkness, like some sort of rookie asshole. Also, you'd think this trap wouldn't be much of a surprise, considering there have been so many attacks on the TVA agents. Oh, and also they'd maybe be tipped off by the dimly lit tent with unattended doom fire lapping around as if summoned by Satan. We wouldn't dare play the music, but the sin, as always, is kids. I mean, Bonnie Tyler. Also, I guess the variant is mischievous, just like Loki, but she can also clearly use magic and fend for herself, so why turn other people into mindless fighting drones? Just cast a spell and be done with it. I guess what I'm saying is be more like WandaVision with your spell casting. Really, just in general, all of these MTU shows should be more like WandaVision, in all the ways. Loki presses the time door button and then the run program option on the menu, and at no point are coordinates entered. I went along with the unexplained logic of this contraption because I assumed that the TVA had a special way of pre-programming destinations. But how would Loki know where the time door leads? There's something like 160 letter changes in this opening sequence, and that is 156 changes too many.
Are you recording or are you alive?
And while we're asking the questions, is that a stuffed weasel? Someone get Sprinkles on the line for confirmation, because that poor critter will be able to spot a fellow tortured soul from a mile away. I'm sure the drabness of the TVA office setting is purposeful, but that doesn't make it any less depressing to look at. It's like someone said, what if we could mix the Abrams Star Trek set with a Cleveland Browns uniform? And then someone else suggested, what about the Abrams Star Trek set mixed with a Cleveland Browns uniform that Baker Mayfield threw up all over after a hard night of partying? Then the third person said, then stain it all in tea. Meeting adjourned. I don't know, guys. I think I'm pretty sure I've been brainwashed to get overly excited to watching Marvel characters don a new outfit. This is literally just Loki putting on a suit jacket while wearing a tie and dress shirt, and I'm screaming at my screen like, yeah, this is amazing! It is not, though. Stop f***ing with my gauge on what is badass, Marvel.
But which kind of Loki remains unknown.
No, the lesser kind, to be clear.
Vanity.
I don't want anybody out there to forget what you are.
There's like 7 people on this mission, and Loki doesn't exactly blend in. How would anyone forget who he is?
Why don't we just travel back to before the attack, when the variant first arrives?
Ooh, I know this one. Because then nothing about this show would be interesting to watch, and the drive for tension and mystery wouldn't be as easy to reach. Also, Mobius is about to give some gobbledygook answer about Nexus events destabilizing the time flow and blah, blah, blah. But what it all amounts to is it's much more convenient to come to this point so we don't have to witness the event again. So, show comes up with some BS rules for time travel that doesn't answer Loki's question, but words like Nexus and time flow are thrown in to make it sound smart. Got it? Good. Dang it, and move on. Also, has the TVA never even considered that a variant or anyone in whatever time they travel to could snatch one of these grenades? I understand this weaponry provides a major plot point in this episode and probably for the series, but why wouldn't they just have a Men in Black pointy clicky thing or something less intrusive and destructive than a bomb? Meanwhile, this kid is walking around with his disintegration rod all lit up like a dumbass. What if Loki saw a snake on the ground, jumped back, and was zapped into oblivion? Never ever walk around with your Vamoosh stick fully erect and activated. This is in the training videos.
If you leave this tent, you'll end up like them.
This red herring's on for some time.
I approve the missions. Speaking of which, let's talk about the one you just botched.
Did he botch it, though? They were sent to assess the situation, which they did. Mobius figured out Loki was lying, and they reset the timeline so there were no variances. The TVA agent was missing before they got there, so that's not really on him. I'd say he did what he was supposed to do.
The variant likes to stall for time, and eventually we'll catch the other one doing the same thing.
This might be a hard sell to the boss, considering that just moments before the mission, Mobius was adamant that
No two are alike.
so just because one Loki stalls for time doesn't mean they all do.
Gotta remember this.
Fans' reaction to every possible Easter egg in this show somehow makes its way into this episode.
I don't care what makes you tick.
Odd, coming from a man who just left an office attempting to explain how getting to understand this Loki would help him catch that Noki, adjusting someone else's tie without explicit consent.
I don't need your sympathy.
Characters delay quippy reply until the elevator door closes cliché.
What's this then, the next step?
Just once can we have an elevator door open up directly into the middle of a pre-existing conversation, or even more realistic, to silence. Shh.
Happy reading.
Oh, wouldn't you know it, the one file on the variant that wasn't pulled out to be reviewed is the one file Loki has access to, which leads to a break in the case. My, no one saw this coming. What a twist!
And I could also set fire to the palace.
No, just stop. Don't set fire to the palace.
Let's pretend that this video is a new timeline where we haven't already given a send back for these Hiddleston and Wilson performances. I may not be enjoying most of what I'm watching yet, but these two are gold.
If everything and everyone around you is destined for imminent destruction, then nothing that I say or do will matter.
Unless, of course, your action actually prevented everyone from dying or allowed a few people to escape the area before the destruction, then it would 100% matter. All kinds of time branches would happen. It's not a terrible theory, but it's also not as foolproof as Loki is making it out to be. In case you confused it with Pompeii, Pennsylvania.
This entire town is wiped off the face of its planet.
How is no one noticing these two men in suits talking under this archway?
Come on, let's take a walk.
This is not walking.
In the early 1990s, for a brief, shining moment, there was a beautiful union of form and function, which we call the jet ski.
Kawasaki started making the jet ski as early as 1972 and continued to make the stand-up version that I assume Mobius is going on about until 2011. It was quite a bit more than a brief moment in time.
3 magic lizards.
Timekeepers.
How do these three look like lizards?
Who created you, Loki?
This conversation about the similarities in all religious and creational beliefs goes on for all the some time. Solving the mystery of where the variant is relies on the discovery of a pack of chewing gum? Sure, you can argue all you want about the variant planting it to attract the TVA, but what if Mobius hadn't discovered the chewing gum? The only reason he even questioned it was because the inside of the kid's mouth was blue? What if he never saw the kid or the kid never even smiled? Also, the detectives deduce where to go in the timelines based on when this gum was in production. They literally go to a store because the store sells it, but how would they know that any of the other apocalyptic events did not have this gum? What if it was in someone's pocket and Loki stole it?
You have candy on Asgard?
Yeah, grapes, nuts.
No wonder you're so bitter.
Grape nut shaming. This deployment squad did all of this investigating of what they were getting themselves into, but didn't consider that cameras might pick them up when they walked into the store.
If anyone's anyone, you're me.
And she is a she who they think is a he that can be he's or she's by just touching a knee.
So take it easy.
Every one of us can look at this man's expression and know that he is thinking, you'd better come take a look at this. And even though it's not spoken, we're still sinning.
Enchantment is a clever trick.
Is that what you're calling brightly lit product placement? Enchantment? Damn, marketing verbiage is getting real fancy. Back in my day, we just called it manipulation.
What did you give away?
The timekeepers, where they are.
How does Hunter C20 even know where the timekeepers are? Mobius, a top agent, hasn't even met the timekeepers. I get the TVA is arrogant, but that still doesn't explain why they would let lower level agents have info they might be tortured into giving away if one of these missions goes awry. I just want to point out that in 2050, stores are still selling wired earbuds.
I miss Randy.
What a lot of American Idol fans said when they tuned into season 13 somehow makes its way into this episode. Why is Loki going all fisticuffs with this guy? He's got magic. Use magic. Okay, sure, this looks cool, but why would Noki go through all the trouble of wiring the devices across a massive store when collecting them in one place behind a locked door would do the exact same thing? It's not like she has a ton of time on her hands. Shh, shh. If you listen closely, you can hear the sounds of all the Marvel nerds clicking pause on their remotes and scrambling to research each of these locations. We honor all of you with this sin. Nice. Look at how long these portals stay open for everyone to run through. I just know the show will be consistent with how long they stay open and never close at the least opportune time. Just to get this straight, Noki wired a ton of devices to bomb the sacred timeline, installed red lighting across the store, and to be sure the lights didn't flicker, she hooked it up to a power source so they all visually punch the point that whatever is happening is real bad. Yeah, it's too bad Mobius doesn't have an armed soldier with him that could use a weapon on Loki before he crosses through the door. Wait, whatever the this organizational system is. This. Oh, sure. Hear me complain about too many letter shifts earlier and then add some more to it? 188 shifting letters?
Cool it, Dad. Let me finish.
You guys want corn dogs?
That's a temporal anomaly. Corn dogs didn't come into existence till the first half of the 20th century.
It's a trap.
It's a trap!
We have a saying in Asgard.
Only Nixon could go to China.
Okay, look, you don't trust me, you can trust one thing.
I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
You remind me of them.
The babe.